Okay, I could be on a wild goose chase right now, and this video may never see the light of day, but there were two of these Bambi son of a bitches back here, okay? The most overrated Disney movie of all time. I saw them, so we're gonna have to walk real extra quiet to check out this Bambi bit nonsense. Okay, we're looking over this way too, so you're seeing the weeds. This is this really cool light thing that I did. It's very cool. It's now covered in some weeds. Okay, by a year from now it won't be. But it's okay. Don't be judgmental. It's very rude. Who are you to judge? All right, we're looking for the Bambis. Okay, I just saw them back here. And then I stared at them. And I was like, I see you. And they were like, what? We've also been having a lot of coyote noises. Now, down the way, you can't see it. It's not that way. Here, I'll help you guys out. Oh, yeah, that's better. Down that way, there's like a dog boarding place. So there's always been all these dogs down there. And I've always wondered if that has anything to do with this uptick in coyotes. Because as Nashville has grown, there's probably more people boarding their dogs. And could you imagine how much dog piss, dog shit, I think they do cats, that you collect at an animal boarding place? And you don't think that's going to attract coyotes? I'm just saying. Come on, listen, who's being naive, Kay? We're back here. We're looking for the Bambis. Hold on, I think I hear something. I'm keeping you guys live. You got to look at this side, because this is where they're going to be. Don't look at me. Don't let me distract you. Here we go. We're looking. You know, it's funny with deer too. You see their cameo. I mean, it's not funny, but it shows us the invaluable nature of their camouflage. So here's the two little benches over there. The one is rotted out. Wood in Tennessee, by the way, it doesn't almost matter what kind of wood you buy. You're better off just thinking about like refinishing things all the time. Just don't invest in like, you know, cedar wood is better than like pine softwoods, but for the most part, it all rots. Just saying. Sun, water, we get a lot of it. All right. I'm not seeing the deer. Are you seeing the deer? Maybe I'm not seeing them, and they're somewhere over there, and I'm just not seeing them. That could be. That could happen. Also, shout out to Crime Pays Botany Doesn't with this new bit that he's doing. I could do that in real time as we're talking. He's doing this. I find it funny. I got to be honest. You know, I could do that. It's a great idea. Asahi Zero. We're looking for Bambis. Okay, so some people are going to be offended by this. They're going to be like, oh, nature, whatever. I'm just looking for them. Let me say something about this, though. Ecology is not all good, right? Like, ecology is not all good. There are hillsides and mountains that erode. If you happen to be one of the animals or people in that area, that's not good. Deer are neither good or bad. I did a good podcast on this subject. I mean, that's a little bit, you know, a little bit on my part to call my own podcast good. But I think if you go listen to it, you'll get the same vibe. Natchez Glen House Stories, by the way. For those of you new on the YouTube, search podcasts wherever they're found, Natchez Glen House Stories. It's on the rules of gardening. And one of them, just like the deer, is nature is indifferent. Like, who cares? Like, these deer aren't looking to do anything bad to me. They're just being deer. So I can't feel any particular way about that. I can't be emotional. Any deer down here? Any deer in the creek? If one of them answered back right now, that would have been fantastic. They would be like, this guy found a talking deer. Also, I was very confused. How did Thumper the rabbit talk so early, but Bambi didn't? Why would rabbits talk earlier than deer? Like, have you seen rabbits when they're born? They're like this big. They're like a poof ball. I don't think their eyes are open. Deer, they come out. They're ready. They're running. Like they're like, you know, you've seen National Geographic. Shout out David Attenborough. Like, all of a sudden, the deer type, you know, genus of animal, they have the deer, and boom, off it goes running in the first like 30 seconds of its life. Rabbits are like, what? So how would a rabbit be smart? It's clearly not evolved as early in its life as the deer is for survival skills. Now, I'm not saying that talking in a Disney movie is a survival skill, but it might be. So this is the creek. I've talked about it before on some Instagram lives. It's gorgeous back here. It's beautiful back here, but it is also an area that has flooded 3 times in the 15 years we've lived here. The soil is actually great down here. By the way, shout out to people who talk about how they like polk plant. What is it? It's Americana. I can't remember the genus. But anyways, the whole polk weed, whatever. There's people that actually grow this over in Europe. If you want some, let me know. I will send you. I'll send you a tuber of it that's probably about 47 pounds. If you want it, you just let me know. So again, it's one of those plants. It's a cute plant, but if what happens, in particular for me, is so the birds eat these berries. And again, this is that same thread of ecology is neither good nor bad. It's indifferent, right? So some people love this plant and actually grow it. I'll show you the berries. There they are. You can see the berries. Look at the berries. Don't eat the berries. I don't know. So a lot of people like that plant and grow it. What happens to me, because I have a lot of trees through the gardens, so the birds will eat those berries, and then the birds crap the berries out while they perch on the maples. So then it germinates. And that plant, one thing I got to give it credit for from an evolutionary standpoint, it can germinate, grow, and thrive for a while when it is not in full sun, when it's underneath the canopy of an existing tree or shrub or whatever. And then all of a sudden, this is what it does. You see the habit. I could just show you. I could have just talked about it for 7 minutes, or I could just show you the habit. And there's a lot of plants that do this. In fact, I would imagine that most tuberous plants in warm climates have some adaptation that is similar to this, that get larger, where it produces the tuber, spends a lot of energy down here, and that's what's going on in that shade timeline. And then as the plant develops the tuber, starts to create vegetative growth, you see what happens, right? It just goes up, 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 has the energy. So now it gets above maybe where the shade line is of on a existing shrub, tree, whatever. Then it just keeps going. And then all the foliage and berries and all the sexual parts of the plant are above that shade now. Now we're in the sun, right? I'll step over here and not kill myself while tripping. There we go. So you can see it gets to this dried seed stage, but then also, and these things make a mess too, by the way. That's why when I hear people talk about growing it in gardens, I get it if you really knew the plant well. But if you don't, these berries make a mess. It self-seeds. It doesn't run, but the tuberous root system gets enormous. I pulled one out here one time from underneath something. I could have been on one of those episodes of crocodile people, swamp hunter people. We're like, oh, this one down from the swamp, it weighed 432 pounds. We got it, it's good. I don't know what that accent was. I apologize for that accent. I was trying to go Cajun, Louisiana. There's one guy on that show, Swamp People. I've watched it 3 times while I was in a hotel. Every time it's in some kind of cheap hotel somewhere in the world. They're always weighing stuff. So I could have weighed tubers from this plant that were very comparable. But again, this is the thing. This plant, for some people's gardens, you'll love it, right? And that's ecology that you take from and borrow. For me, I look at this plant and curse it. So we can both be having a completely different experience with the same plant based upon our gardens, based upon our climate, based upon us. If I had a smaller garden, I think I could probably manage one of these and look at it and go yeah, there's some cool garden things about that. But when you're doing 2.5 acres of gardens, managing this type of plant that gives you these kind of things to think about, it's not the best. And the whole tree thing, like I said, that's the biggest issue, the tree thing. I've stayed on top of these plants as weeds in the gardens before, but it's that all of a sudden, here's one underneath the tree, and we see why the plant is doing that. It's adaptations through evolution that it's taking advantage of here, even in a formal garden. So in nature or in your garden, these same evolutionary adaptations show themselves. Sometimes good for you, sometimes bad for you. Just the way it works out.